Ladies and gentlemen, there is a secret that separates the dreamers from the doers, the wishers from the achievers, the ordinary from the extraordinary. That secret is not luck, not talent, not even intelligence. The secret is daily discipline. Discipline is the bridge between desire and achievement. It is the quiet force behind every great accomplishment. It doesn't shout, it doesn't seek applause. It works in silence, and it delivers with thunder. Certainly, here's the expanded version of that key point in 5 flowing paragraphs. Without headings or formatting, you may have the greatest goals in the world. You may dream of building a life filled with abundance, joy, influence, and contribution. These dreams often burn bright, especially in moments of inspiration or when we're exposed to stories of great achievement. You see others living the life you desire and think, why not me? That question is the seed of greatness. But for it to grow, it needs more than hope. It needs action. The truth is, desire alone is not enough. Most people want success, but wanting it doesn't bring it closer. Want is passive. It lives in the mind. But discipline is active. It lives in your hands, your habits, your calendar, and your character. Without discipline, your goals remain trapped in the realm of potential, never quite taking form, never quite becoming real. They're beautiful ideas, but ideas without action decay into disappointment. Discipline is the process of translating desire into motion. It's what transforms lofty visions into concrete steps. When you practice discipline, you say to the universe, I am serious about my goals. You show up consistently not only when it's easy, but especially when it's not. Every small act of discipline, every early morning, every finished task, every delayed gratification is a brick in the foundation of your future success. It's important to understand that discipline doesn't always feel good in the moment. It often demands sacrifice, discomfort, and patience. But it gives back something far greater than comfort ever could progress. Each time you follow through on your commitments, you move closer to your goal. Discipline breathes life into your dreams. It takes what was once a vague hope and turns it into a living, growing reality. So yes, dream big. Let your imagination soar. But never forget, those dreams will collapse without the weight and structure of daily habits to support them. Without discipline, goals are nothing more than castles built in the clouds. With it, they become fortresses built in stone. The bridge between the life you envision and the life you live is built with bricks of daily, focused, unwavering discipline. We often imagine greatness as something born in explosive moments, standing on stages, closing massive deals, breaking records, or making headlines. But in reality, greatness begins in far more ordinary circumstances. It is not built in sudden bursts of effort or rare flashes of brilliance. Instead, it is forged quietly in the small, unseen decisions that most people overlook. The moments that seem insignificant to the world are the very moments that shape your destiny. It is in the decision to get out of bed when the alarm rings, even when your body begs for more sleep. It is in the choice to begin your work with focus and intent, rather than procrastinate or coast through the day. It is in keeping your promises to yourself when no one is watching, finishing what you start, sticking to the plan you made when you were full of motivation, and not backing down when the emotions fade. These choices may seem small in isolation, but over time they create unstoppable momentum. The people who achieve greatness aren't the ones who wait for ideal conditions or depend on external motivation. They are the ones who understand that success is the reward of mastering ordinary moments. They don't need applause to stay committed. They don't need perfect circumstances to move forward. What they need, and what they rely on, is a deep, unshakable commitment to discipline. They train themselves to do what needs to be done, especially when they don't feel like doing it. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't feel exciting most of the time. It's quiet, repetitive, and often uncomfortable. That's why so many people avoid it. They look for shortcuts, for hacks, for easier roads. But the truth is, those small, uncomfortable decisions, done consistently, are what separate winners from everyone else. Because while others are distracted or discouraged, the disciplined are still moving forward, step by step. Mastery is not a product of talent alone. It is the child of patience and practice. And practice doesn't happen in highlight reels. It happens behind closed doors, when you're tired, uncertain, or uninspired, It's in those exact moments, the moments when most people give up, that discipline calls you to rise, to push through, to keep going not because it feels good, but because it is right. And in doing so, you build something stronger than motivation, you build character. The truth is, the world rarely notices the effort you put in behind the scenes, but the results always speak for themselves. The world is shaped by those who master the moment when it's easier to quit. So the next time you're faced with a quiet, invisible decision, choose. Many people believe that one great effort, one big push, or one lucky break will define their success. But the truth is far less dramatic and far more empowering. For the remainder of your life is shaped not by what you do once in a while, but by what you do every single day. For your habits, the things you repeat without even thinking, are the true architects of your future. Occasional effort may bring moments of progress, but only consistent action brings lasting results. Think about it, actually, a person who eats healthy once a week but neglects their diet the rest of the time will not see change. Someone who reads a book once a month but scrolls on their phone for hours daily will not grow. The same applies to your work, your health, your relationships, and your finances. What you do consistently becomes your reality. You cannot escape the long-term consequences of your daily routines, whether they serve you or destroy you. Success is not a mysterious force reserved for a chosen few. It is simply the cumulative result of good habits practiced consistently over time. It is earned, not gifted. For the remainder of your lives, those who rise to the top are not necessarily the most talented or the most connected. They are the ones who built the right disciplines and repeated them until those disciplines became part of their identity. They don't act successful once in a while. They live successfully every day. Habits are powerful because they work beneath the surface. Once established, for the remainder of your life, they require less thought and less willpower. That's why building the right habits is crucial, because they run your life even when you're tired, distracted, or unmotivated. For the remainder of your life, your habits are strong. They will carry you when your motivation fades. If they are weak, they will betray you the moment pressure appears. And where do habits come from? For the remainder of life, they are born from discipline. At first, discipline feels hard. It demands effort and intention. But over time, that discipline lays the tracks for automatic behavior. What once felt difficult becomes second nature. Waking early, staying focused, exercising, managing money, being kind, these can all become effortless, but only if they are first powered by conscious discipline. So ask yourself, what are you doing every day? Not once a week, not when you feel inspired. Every day, if that is your true direction, that is your real self. If your current habits aren't leading you toward the life you want, then it's time to change them. Because in the end, for the remainder of your life, you are not what you dream of doing. You are not even what you occasionally do. For the remainder of your life, what you do consistently, and that is the most honest reflection of who you are and who you will become. Excuses are the most common and most accepted form of failure. They often wear the disguise of logic and self-compassion, but at their core, they are subtle forms of surrender. We tell ourselves we're too tired, too busy, not ready, not skilled enough, or that the timing isn't right. These stories may feel comforting in the moment, but they are costing us something far more valuable than comfort. They are stealing our progress. Every excuse you make today is a debt you'll have to pay tomorrow. You may not feel its weight immediately, but over time the interest compounds. Days become weeks, and weeks become years, all filled with reasons why things didn't move forward. Excuses do not just delay your success, they erode your confidence, your momentum, and your belief in yourself. Each time you listen to one, you train your mind to accept failure before even trying. The people who truly succeed in life are not those who had the fewest challenges. In fact, many of them had more than most. They didn't wait for ideal conditions or perfect timing. They moved forward despite the obstacles. They understood that discipline is not a feeling. It is a decision. It is choosing to do what needs to be done even when your emotions, your environment, and your excuses are begging you to quit. There will always be something standing in your way. Always. Whether it's fatigue, fear, distractions, or doubt, there is no such thing as a perfect day where everything aligns. But discipline gives you the power to act anyway. It gives you strength in moments of weakness. It is the tool that lets you rise above your circumstances, not be defined by them. Discipline says, I will move forward no matter how I feel. Feelings are fleeting. They change with the weather, with your diet, your mood, or the words of someone else. If your progress depends on how you feel, you'll rarely move forward. But if your progress is tied to your discipline, you will outlast obstacles, outwork your doubts, and outperform your past self. Discipline makes you dependable, not just others, but to yourself. It becomes the internal contract your future self can trust. In the end, for the life will not ask how often you felt like doing the work. It will only reflect whether or not the work was done. No one ever builds a legacy by saying, I would have, but you either make progress or you make excuses. You can't do both. The path to success is paved not with perfect days, but with disciplined ones. Days where you showed up anyway, stayed the course, and refused to let your excuses speak louder than your goals. One of the greatest truths about discipline is that its rewards are not always immediate, but they are always inevitable. In the beginning, or doing something with discipline for even one day feels like a small personal victory. You may not see any external results yet, but inside you feel a shift. You feel proud, clear-headed, more in control. That feeling is your first sign that you're stepping into your power. One disciplined day plants a seed, and though it's still invisible, growth has already begun. Continue the discipline for a week, and something deeper starts to happen. Your confidence grows not from praise or recognition, but from self-respect. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, you are capable of change. There's strength in consistency, even if the changes are still small. For the remainder of your life, your focus sharpens. Your energy improves. You begin to break free from the cycle of starting and stopping. You feel momentum building. When you carry that discipline into weeks and months, something remarkable starts to take shape. Others begin to notice, not just your results, but your attitude, your energy. For the remainder of your presence, you start to stand out, not because you're the loudest or the most talented, but because you're reliable, focused, and growing. For people are drawn to those who keep showing up because it's rare in a world addicted to quick fixes and shortcuts. Your consistency becomes your power. That's the beauty of compound effort. Just like money earns interest over time, your disciplined actions do too. The small things you do every day begin to add up. A single page written each morning becomes a book. A workout each evening transforms your health. 15 minutes of reading daily builds knowledge that changes how you think. At first, these efforts seem small, too small to matter, but in time they become unstoppable. Most people never see the full power of discipline because they quit too soon. They get impatient. Looking for immediate results, they dig up the seed before it takes root. But the truth is, discipline is a long game. Its rewards are exponential. The more consistent you are, the more powerful your efforts become. What once felt like a struggle begins to feel like your natural rhythm. The hard becomes normal, and the normal becomes your new standard. By the time the world sees your success, you'll already know why it happened. You'll remember the quiet days, the unnoticed efforts, the moments you wanted to quit but didn't. You'll know it wasn't luck, talent, or timing. It was discipline, done daily, built brick by brick until the foundation was unshakable. Do something with discipline for one day, and you feel good. Do it for a week, and you feel strong. Do it for a year, and you become unstoppable. Every action you take begins with a thought. Your thoughts are the origin of your habits, your choices, your behaviors, and ultimately your destiny. If your mind is filled with doubt for your life, fear, or laziness, your actions will inevitably reflect that inner chaos. You cannot think in defeat and act in victory for the remainder of your life. That's why the true battle of discipline starts not in the body, but in the mind. Before you ever get out of bed, open a book, or chase a goal, the war is already being fought in your thoughts. Your mind will always try to take the path of least resistance. It will search for comfort, safety, and familiarity, even if those things are destroying your potential. Thoughts like, I'll do it later, or I'm too tired, or what's the point, may feel small, but they are dangerous seeds. If watered often enough, they grow into patterns of procrastination, failure, and regret. The moment you entertain these thoughts without challenge, for the remainder of your life, you hand over your power to excuses. This is why your mind must be trained with the same intensity that a soldier prepares for battle. A warrior does not walk into war casually. He sharpens his tools, prepares his strategy, and strengthens his body. Your thoughts must be sharpened in the same way. You must become aware of what you allow to live in your head. You must challenge every lazy thought, every fearful whisper, every excuse that tries to talk you out of your purpose. Training your thoughts is not a one-time act. It is a daily discipline. Each morning, you decide what kind of mindset you will wear. Will you choose strength or weakness, focus or distraction, action or avoidance? These are not random emotions. They are decisions that must be made with clarity and intention. For the remainder of your life, just you wouldn't leave your front door wide open to strangers. Don't leave your mind wide open to thoughts that don't serve you. The good news is, of your life, the more you train thoughts, the stronger your mental discipline becomes. Over time, your default setting shifts. You become someone who automatically looks for solutions instead of problems, someone who moves forward instead of freezing in fear. Discipline in thought leads to discipline in action. When your mind becomes your ally, not your enemy, you stop sabotaging your progress. You start to act with purpose, direction, and conviction. In the end, for the remainder of your life, you must understand that you will never rise above the level of your thoughts. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if your mind is full of doubt and disorder, you will always fall short. True discipline starts inside. Before you conquer any goal, you must first conquer your mind. And when you do, everything else becomes possible. There's no denying it. Discipline is hard. Waking up early when your body craves more sleep is hard. Sitting down to work when distractions are everywhere is hard. Choosing the gym over the couch, the healthy meal over junk food, or focused study over mindless entertainment, all of it requires effort. It demands that you push against the path of least resistance, and that's uncomfortable. But discomfort is not your enemy. In fact, it's your guide. It's the sign that you're growing, expanding, and moving toward something better than where you are. Most people run from discomfort. They tell themselves they'll start when it's easier, when life calms down, when they feel more ready. But that day rarely comes. Life is always busy. There's always noise. Waiting for the perfect moment is just another form of procrastination. The truth is, nothing worthwhile is ever easy at first. For the remainder of your life, discipline asks you to suffer a little now so you don't suffer much later. It's a trade, a hard choice today for a better life tomorrow. And those who understand this, those who embrace this discomfort, are the ones who rise. What many fail to realize is that avoiding discipline doesn't eliminate pain. It only delays it. When you avoid the gym, so the pain comes in the form of poor health. When you avoid work, it comes in the form of missed opportunities. When you avoid responsibility, it shows up as chaos and crisis. For the remainder of life, the pain of regret doesn't show up immediately. It builds. And when it finally arrives, it weighs more than any sacrifice you could have made along the way. For the remainder of life, regret is heavy because it's permanent. You can't go back and reclaim the time you lost. You can't redo the years you wasted. Regret settles deep into the heart. It doesn't just affect your mood. It affects your identity. You begin to question what you could have been, what you could have achieved, if only you had chosen differently. For the remainder of your life, and that is a far greater burden than any early morning or difficult choice could ever be. That's why you must act now. Choose the shortened pain of discipline to avoid the long-term agony of regret. The pain of discipline, while real, is temporary. It fades. After the workout, you feel stronger. After completing the project, you feel accomplished. After staying committed to your goal, you feel proud. Discipline rewards you almost immediately with a deeper sense of control and direction, and that reward grows over time. It becomes a source of momentum, a personal power that no one can take from you. You start to see the results, and the pain that once felt overwhelming becomes just part of the process. In the end, you always pay a price. The question is, will you pay the price? Most people move through life in search of comfort. They avoid anything that feels too hard, too uncertain, or too demanding. For the remainder of your life, when given the choice between the difficult path that leads to growth and the easy one that leads nowhere, they choose the easy one again and again. It's not because they lack potential, but because they fear discomfort. They want the rewards of success without the pain that precedes them. But that comfort comes at a costing stagnation Growth lives on the other side of effort, and without discipline, that effort never becomes consistent. The truth is, for the remainder of your life, challenge is the very environment where greatness is formed. It is the friction, the resistance, the pressure that shapes people into more than they were before. Those who avoid it stay the same, safe but stuck. But those who lean into it, who choose discipline even when it hurts, rise above the ordinary. They understand that struggle is not a sign of failure, but a necessary part of the process. They don't run from hard things. They run toward them for your life because they know that's where transformation lies. Leaders are not those who simply talk good game or dream big dreams. For the remainder of your life, they are the ones who are willing to do what others won't. They show up early, stay late, and push through when others make excuses. Innovators aren't born with magical talent. They are created through relentless discipline. Day after day, idea, failure after failure. For they don't stop when it gets tough. In fact, they expect it to get tough and they prepare for it. That mindset is what separates the top 1% from the rest. For the remainder of your life, history doesn't remember the comfortable, it remembers the committed. The people whose names echo through time are those who endured challenge after challenge and kept going. For the remainder of they built their lives through effort, consistency, and sacrifice. They didn't wait for the world to hand them anything. They created their own opportunity by staying disciplined when no one else did. And it is in that quiet, lonely work that their legacy was born. So if you want to rise, truly rise. Don't follow the crowd. Don't seek ease. Don't fear discomfort for the remainder of your life. Let others take the path of least resistance while you take the path of discipline, because that path, while harder, is the only one that leads to real influence, real leadership, remainder life, and real history-making impact. The world doesn't need more people chasing comfort. It needs more people willing to earn greatness one disciplined day at a time, for there is a quiet of power that comes from doing exactly what you said you would do, not once. Not when it's convenient, but every day, especially when it's inconvenient. Each the remainder of your life, each time you follow through on a commitment, no matter how small, you send a message to yourself that your words matter. Over time, this practice builds something much greater than just progress. It builds trust. And self-trust is the foundation of all confidence. Without it, you hesitate. With it, you move with certainty. Most people struggle not because they lack ability, but because they don't believe in themselves for the remainder of your life. And they don't believe in themselves because they've broken too many promises to themselves. They say they'll start tomorrow and don't. They say they'll finish what they began and give up halfway through. These moments add up, and even if no one else notices, your subconscious keeps score. Each broken promise chips away at your belief in your own potential, leaving you more doubtful, more unsure, and more afraid to try, but the reverse is also true. Every time you say you'll do something and you actually do it, wake up early, complete the workout, stick to the plan. You strengthen that belief. For the remainder of your life, you prove to yourself that you are capable, dependable, and disciplined. And belief built through action is far stronger than belief built through inspiration. It doesn't just motivate you, it anchors you. It becomes a force that holds you steady when life gets difficult and everything tries to pull you off course. As you keep showing up for the remainder of your life, you begin to notice something shift inside you. Decisions become clearer. Fear loses its grip for the remainder of your life. You're no longer paralyzed self-doubt because you built evidence that you can trust yourself to act. And that trust compounds into belief, not the shallow kind that fades when challenged, but the kind that endures. You believe not because someone told you to, but because you've seen your own strength with your own eyes. Belief like this is rare. It cannot be faked. It cannot be bought. It can only be earned through discipline, consistency, and action. It makes you bold in your decisions, resilient in your failures, and focused in your purpose. And when you carry that belief into your work, your relationships, your goals, the world begins to respond. People are drawn to it. Opportunities come to it. Doors open for it. Not because of luck, but because belief backed by discipline becomes an unstoppable force. So if you want to build confidence, don't chase motivation. Chase follow through. Do what you. At first glance, discipline seems like a restriction. It feels like rules, routines, and sacrifice. It appears to take away freedom, telling you when to wake up, what to eat, how to work, and what to avoid. That's why so many people resist it. They associate it with confinement, with the loss of spontaneity and pleasure. But this perspective is only surface level. When you look deeper, you begin to realize that the structure discipline provides is not a prison, it's a path to freedom, power, and control over your life. Without discipline, your time is at the mercy of distractions. Your energy is scattered, your goals are delayed, and your emotions run the show. You react instead of respond. You live on other people's terms, what they want, what they expect, what they demand. You end up in cycles of procrastination, anxiety, and regret. But when discipline enters your life, all of that begins to change. Suddenly, you become the one who decides where your time goes, how your energy is spent, and what deserves your attention. When you are disciplined, your time no longer so away unnoticed. You begin to protect your hours like the precious currency they are. You stop wasting your morning scrolling and start using them for growth. You stop letting your day be dictated by impulse and begin leading it with purpose. For the remainder of your life, that shift is where real freedom lies. The kind of freedom that comes not from doing whatever you want in the moment, but from consistently doing what moves you toward the life you want in the long run. Discipline also brings financial freedom. When you apply it to how you spend, save, and invest for the remainder of your life, your money begins to work for you rather than control you. You're no longer chained to debt, impulse spending, or short-term satisfaction. You begin building security and peace of mind, not because you're lucky, but because you've mastered your decisions. The freedom to walk away from jobs you hate, to create your own opportunities, or to support the ones you love. That freedom is born from disciplined financial choices. Emotionally, discipline makes you stronger. Instead of being a victim to every mood or setback, you learn to pause, to think, to respond with clarity. You stop being led by fear, frustration, or laziness. You develop emotional intelligence, not because you suppress how you feel, but because you manage how you act. That control is priceless. It allows you to maintain peace in chaos, make wise choices under pressure, and continue progressing no matter how turbulent life becomes. In the end, discipline gives you back your life. It hands you the steering wheel. The more disciplined you are, the less life happens to you, and the more you create the life you truly want. The freedom to pursue your passions, the freedom to have peace of mind, the freedom to be proud of the person you see